Is a stereotype?
A stereotype is when someone has a belief about someone, basically it's a belief that all people with similar characteristics are the same.
Okay. And do you think most people stereotype without noticing? Or
Absolutely.
Is it, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of stereotyping. I think most stereotyping goes unnoticed and by the individual who's doing it. I think partially the stereotyping is a way that we categorize people, the way that we're able to assess people. It's almost a natural way for humans to make sense of their daily life. When you think about it, we have to come in contact, most of us do at least, we come in contact with dozens, if not hundreds of people every single day. And if we spent all of our time trying to assess, are you a threat to me, are you a threat to me, are you a threat to me, pretending that every single person we see is brand new and how they look and how they act is brand new, we would go crazy. We could spend all of our day trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Instead, this stereotyping is almost categorizing people so that we're able to make sense of the world a little bit better, to figure out who's a threat to us immediately and who's not. We look at their age, how they're dressed, how they're walking, how they're everything about them, and we say, is that person a threat or not? And we do that by referencing our previous experience with people who look and act like the people we see every single day. Yeah, so it's a survival tool. It's a survival tool. Stereotyping is.
Okay. Do you think there's a way to stop it?
I'm not sure that stopping stereotyping is really the goal that we should have.
Okay.
The goal is to not use stereotyping negatively.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking at someone saying, "Wow, I've never met you before, but I don't know anything about you. I just know how you look, and so because of that, I'm going to treat you badly." Instead, we need to figure out how to not use that stereotyping to discriminate against people.
Okay. Do you think certain groups are more likely to stereotype than others?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Research shows us that people who are not exposed to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different people, they're more likely to be apprehensive and more likely to be to prejudge people. Mm-hmm. And so people who don't travel a lot, who may not read a lot, about different cultures, are more likely to stereotype than those who are more well-traveled.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then explain your theory of the melting pot.
Oh, the melting pot.
The ethnic stew.
Yeah, the melting pot and the ethnic stew. In America, it's an absolutely fantastic place because we were built on immigrants. Modern America is built on immigrants. And today in America, fully 12 out of every 100 people was born in another country and who currently live here. And so it's not like that in most other countries. Most other countries are pretty homogeneous, but America is very heterogeneous. We have a lot of different cultures here, and because of that, we've had this history where people called it a melting pot, that America's a melting pot. But I'm a very visual person, and when I think of a melting pot, I don't think of America. I think of a big giant cauldron almost, a big giant pot. And do you remember when you were a kid and you got that really cool box of Crayola crayons? Remember the 64 count Crayola crayons? And it was beautiful, and it had like pinks and reds and magentas and blues and blacks and greens, and it was just fantastic, right? And every color in there was fantastic. And when you put them together, they made a beautiful rainbow. And you could still tell all of those things. And when I think of a melting pot, I think of that 64 color of crayon box going into that big pot and someone putting heat under it and then kind of stirring it around. And after a while, it doesn't look so pretty anymore, and you can't really differentiate between people or crayons. And after a while, it's pretty nasty looking. And I don't think about that way when I think about America. I think more about stew, and maybe it's because I really like stew. But I really like the idea of an ethnic stew instead, because an ethnic stew is where people can come together and still maintain their individuality but contribute towards each other. If you think about it this way, you can take a stew, and stew can be made out of anything. It can be made with meat, without meat. It can be made with chicken or pork or fish or anything, or beef. And then you add vegetables to it, and you add like potatoes and carrots and celery, and it's just amazing, right? And you can eat all those things individually, right? You can get a steak and throw it on the grill and you can cook it. It's pretty darn good. Or you can get a potato and you can cook that and you can eat that. Or you can even eat a raw carrot, and they're all pretty good. But in my opinion, they're really, really boring. And I would much prefer putting all of those things into a big slow cooker for the day and let it cook for 6 or 8 hours. And then at the end of the day, come home and find that there is a fantastic stew waiting for me. And, this is really what America looks like, is that when you look at that stew, you can tell that's stew, right? We're an American stew. But you can still tell when you take a bite of it, well, there's a piece of meat, and there's a carrot, and there's a potato. And the crazy thing is they taste better at the end of the day because they've all been together. They've all gotten a little taste of, a little flavor from all the other ingredients in there, but you can still tell where the carrot is, where the potato is. And they're better for it. And and then the next day you come back and you find out, well, things are, you've heated up again for lunch. Things are still looking like a stew. You can still tell, oh, that's my stew from last night. And you heat it up, and lo and behold, it's actually better the next day, because the longer it stays together, the longer the flavors of that mix. And that's how we are in America, right? The longer we are in America, we mix with each other, and we make each other better because of it. More flavorful, more interesting. And just a better society overall. That's how I think of America, is this beautiful ethnic stew that contributes to each other.
Okay. Can we pause for a second?